Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. So, as you may have noticed over the last couple of years, I've been very, very reluctant to even look at yes, no pendulum questions when it pertains to Barron Trump. But he's 18. And so I want to take a look at him and see what's going on. I'm doing this energetically. I'm not going to do, cards with it. But I want to see what the energy is around him, kind of what he is um, processing, thinking, what his personality is like, what's going on with him. So apparently, Barron recently let it be known that his parent had, for all intent and purposes, been separated for 2 years prior to Trump deciding that he was going to run for president. And I guess at that point, there was a negotiation that took place, and lo and behold, there she was, by his side. You know, just just from a human perspective, kind of a message do we think that sends him about relationships and fidelity and honor? Or, like the rest of his family, does he just function in a space where really everything's transactional? And so it would have been kind of in keeping with something that would have considered sort of more normal, kind of the way the family functions. So I had to go get started. Here we go. So tell me about Baron, please. Okay. So, I think a lot of us have kind of um, figured thought that because Melania was so like mother bear around him, that perhaps um, he had been shielded to some degree from some of the more almost distasteful um, manner in which the Trump family operates, that somehow he would have been shielded. But what I get energetically is that that's actually not the case because, you know, again, we like to sometimes um, look at Melania and think, oh, the poor thing, she's trapped or she can't get out or whatever. But her and Donald are like cut from the same fabric. And so she is just as self absorbed and transactional and driven by money, power, prestige, status. And so that, of course, then ended up being part of the energy and the atmosphere that Barron was raised in. There were stories about Ivanka when she was in school. And apparently she was very, very entitled. And, when things weren't going her way, she often reverted to the don't you know who my father is kind of attitude. She was not apparently, well liked or well received. And I'm being told that he carries that same energy. Um, and in some ways for him, it's even more pronounced because Donald Trump carries the title of president, right? And so it's not just a matter of, don't you know who my father is? He's this rich mover and shaker in New York, which of course we know he really wasn't. But for Barron, it's like he's the president. And they always refer to Trump as president in current tense, right? So he's not even saying he was a former president, it's just he's president. And of course, there is, that is reinforced by the fact that there's Secret Service people around him all the time, and there's all this additional protection. So apparently, energetically, what I'm being shown is we're talking about somebody who is incredibly entitled, and someone who it's like, on the one hand, like, just on the one hand, he really, really likes being as tall as he is, for example, because he feels on some level sort of that it literally um, indicates that he is above them. And then the other side of that same coin is he wishes he wasn't quite so tall because, that he stands out. And there isn't a way for him to, sort of retreat or pull back or hide. Um, and there are times he would dearly like to do that. But I have to tell you, I don't think it's because, um, oh, I think it's because there are times when he truly is embarrassed by his dad, and to some degree even the behavior of the family writ large, even though he's very much in sync with the behavior and with the attitudes. um he apparently is quite um quick to anger. um Again, he would have watched his dad, you know throw stuff at the walls when he wasn't happy. So what does that do? Well, what it does is it tells a child that that kind of behavior is acceptable, that it is a perfectly valid way to express your anger or your frustration or your displeasure. And so it very much feels as if he also does not respond well to being told no, or to things not moving exactly the way he wants them to or as fast as he wants them to. Um, it's interesting because in some ways, one of the things that he has sort of picked up from his mom is almost a dog eat dog kind of attitude. And so she's sort of enforced in him this idea of um, do it to them before they do it to you, right? Always keep yourself very, very protected. Always be ready to push back. Um, don't let them see when they have hurt you, when they have weakened you, when you might be vulnerable. And that's very much part of what um what her behavior is. And again, so he has picked that up, he mimics that, and that really is his attitude. It's sort of like, I'm better than pretty much everybody, and so therefore um you need to do what I say, you need to do it the way I say it, and you better jump to it when I say it. So this is an arrogant child, um and unfortunately he comes by it sort of honestly. He See, this is the problem with that family, sort of, and the way they think about things and process things. Um, None of them think that Donald did anything particularly wrong and that he shouldn't be, punished for it. I mean, they really do see him as a victim. And again, because it is the behavior, I mean, if you just think about the things that he has been charged with, right? It is all of the same attitude of everybody else does it, so I can do it, or I'm special, so I can do it, or, this is just the way it's done, and people just don't talk about it being done that way. Um, and I am of a certain class, position, status, and so therefore I can pretty much do what I want and I can get away with what I want. And so the whole family functions in that sort of a mindset. And so for Barron, um, as his father is moving through these court cases, um, it's going to become more and more difficult for him. You're going to see him really struggle to um, not cope, but struggle to keep his anger under control, sort of in public ways. Um, do not expect him to be around a lot or visible um, when these court cases start to move forward as they will. There is very much a feeling of wanting some sort of an ending or resolution when it comes to Trump, because it's as if everybody this is literally what they just showed me. They showed me Melania, and she's got her hand on a doorknob, and she's standing, and she's waiting, and she's watching. And the second she can see her way clear, she's gonna open that door and walk. But for right now, whether it is for her own personal reasons or whether it is because of a contract, she's not going to go anywhere. But she is also not going to support him in any real um, way. And she's going to keep herself as removed as she can from it all. But on a basic level, she also doesn't really understand what was so wrong about what he did. Um, and I have to say, even sexual behavior, sexualized behavior, um, she she sort of almost takes it in stride. Um, and so, while many of us were horrified about the affair that Trump had when Barron was just a newborn, in many ways for her, it was just sort of the behavior she expected. And I have to tell you, in some ways, she was perfectly happy for him to be distracted somewhere else. And so, any idea, any notion that he was trying to protect her from the knowledge or the awareness of the affairs, or, yeah, that's just not accurate. And as Barron grew up in that environment, and okay, so I don't know how old he was now. I guess he was like 10, maybe, when the whole Trump thing and the winning and the whole thing happened. Um, but since then, so those years between 10 and 18, think about kind of the growth that the average person goes through. Just, I mean, there's a reason why they call those teenager years so horrible. And look at what he was, where he was, how he was being treated, how his reality had shifted from being privileged almost literally to anointed. Um, okay, so that's like really incredibly depressing. Spirit, what are we looking at as Barron goes forward? Um, where do we see him by time he's 28, 38? What is his path looking like? As of right now, it feels as if there's only sort of like a 50-50 chance that he would actually end up living um, in the United States. It would not be surprising if he relocated, and whether that, you know, to Europe some way, whether it's to one of the um countries that his father is so enamored with. But there's a feeling that at some point the Trump name is going to be sullied enough in America that he may choose to not live in that country full time or most of the time, because there are other places where he perhaps might get a better reception. So, you know, I mean, this is the thing, right? Everybody has the power to remake their life, right? Choose differently. But as of right now, unfortunately, it really does look like um, that the fabric that he was cut from is very much like his mom and dad. And as I said, they really are cut from a similar fabric. So that's sad. Right? I mean, really, it's a sad thing to think um, he's sort of been. I don't want to say ruined, but that his vision of reality has been twisted enough that it would make it hard for him to kind of function in the real world. Um, but again, he looks at his siblings, and as far as he can figure, it's worked pretty well for them. So therefore, all right, that's enough about Barron. Um, One can only hope that as he goes forward, um, he is able to choose better. All right. Um, Thank you very, very much for being here. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye for now.